lights are out and you stumble in the dark. You kept pushing on, but then you went too far. When your ship has sailed and all your dreams are lost, everything is wrong, you feel like it's your fault. Just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you, don't forget it. When life throws lemons, just call me. Just call me. Just call me. Just call me. You're stronger now than you ever been. You gotta leave now, it's time to catch the wind. You will climb up high and look through the clouds. And when you're feeling low, I know you'll bounce back. Oh, and just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you, don't forget it. When life throws lemons, just call me. Just call me. Just call me. Just call me.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Midday Racing League. Here we are just at the tail end of qualifying as Jeff Willis in that Exxon 74 is putting down a lap. We are live here from the Dover Motor Speedway for 120 laps, 120 miles of absolutely insane high-octane action here with the Midday Racing League. I'm Liam Irvig here to bring you guys the show. These guys are getting ready to grid. We'll go ahead and show you your race info and your starting lineup. Garrett Kinder on the pole with a 23.03. Terry Atwood also on the front row. Matt Sisler in row number 2. Rooster Rodden, then Nick Atwood, Rick Helms, William Baker, Craig Davidson, Kyle Westwood, Jeff Wills, and Matt Metler rounding out the field. This guy's getting ready for what should be a really tough race. Dover Motor Speedway. It says International there, but the game hasn't gotten it updated quite yet. Talladega is behind us, but that doesn't mean that the challenges are over. These high banks here at Dover really going to be taking a toll here on the tires. We've got a pretty warm track here today as well with 101 degrees Fahrenheit. Something that I find pretty interesting about this track. Definitely makes it unique, but getting down up into these corners, you will find yourself having trouble because there's a bit of a hill going on there. An elevation change entering these corners. Definitely going to want to keep that wheel as straight as possible. Especially going over those hills coming up out of the corners. We've got ourselves 120 laps. Garrett Kinder's on the pole. Appreciate everybody tuning in here live on Sim Racing Media. Should be a good show here. 11 of Friday's greatest ready to roll here at Dover. Pace car makes that hard left turn into the pits, which puts us in the hands of the starter and Garrett Kinder as these guys approach the Geico restart zone. Into the zone they go, and green flag they go. Garrett Kinder hard on the gas with a strong restart. Gets a couple of car lengths in front of the battle for second. Matt Sisler jumps down to the inside of Terry Atwood, takes away that second spot. So these guys still remain side by side, just about coming up off of turn number 2. A couple of positions still up for grabs right now towards the back, as you see William Baker getting passed by Kyle Westwood up on the top side. Now that 74 of Jeff Wills trying to make a run up top. He gets a little bit squirrely there, has to let up off of the gas. That gives Matt Metler the chance to get down to his inside. Exciting first lap. Here's Kyle Westwood making another move, this time around Craig Davidson. He's our biggest mover in the first 2 laps, up 2 spots. Matt Sisler got around Terry Atwood. Atwood doesn't want to give that up. He's staying right up on him, about a car length off. Strong run coming up off of 4. Looks down to the inside, but not enough of a run to be able to make that move. Matt Sisler down to the inside. Looks to get down to the inside of Kinder. Kinder goes a little bit wide, arcs that corner a little bit more, stays wider coming up off the corner. Now here comes the 24 machine up to the top of Matt Sisler. Terry Atwood using that later apex, trying to get a strong run off. Gets a little bit loose. There's contact. Hard into the inside wall goes Matt Sisler. He did not do a complete rotation and was off of the track, so no caution's going to come out. That was a huge hit. Matt Metler also has had some sort of issue here. A little bit slower there compared to the rest of the field, but he seems to have recovered. Matt Sisler, however, is going to come straight to the pits to get that fast repair done. Not something you want to have happen this early in the race. He's only 4 laps in. Tough break there for Sis Money Gaming. He's definitely not going to be happy with that, as he got into... Try to pull up a replay here. Garrett Kinder holds out of the race lead over Rooster Rodden, who's now in second after the contact. Nick Atwood's in third, Rick Helms, and we've got Kyle Westwood, Craig Davidson, Terry Atwood's fallen all the way back to 7th after that. Jeff Wills, William Baker, Matt Metler, and then, of course, Matt Sisler rounding out the field. So we'll jump back to the pass. Go from there. Coming up off of 4, the 24 gets loose. Hard into the inside wall goes the 00 of Matt Sisler. Takes that front bumper off. Puts Matt Sisler in the pits. He's going to be at least 2 laps down now. In 11th place, hoping for a couple of cautions to bring it back. Garrett Kinder continues to lead. He's got about 1.5 seconds over Rooster Rodden. Rodden has Atwood all over his tail, though. That's Nick Atwood in the 23 Hooters machine. Now looks down to the inside, trying to make a move on Rodden. Rodden's going to let him down there. Goes way wide throughout the corner. Gives plenty of space. Very cordial through that corner there. And a polite exchange between the 01 and the 23 here. Here comes Rick Helms with a hot Kyle Westwood on his back bumper. Here's Matt Sisler right around that 24 car. These guys made a little bit of contact before. We saw that 00 get turned into the wall just 4 laps ago. Now all of a sudden these guys right next to each other. And I wouldn't expect any animosity or any ill will, ill feelings. It was just a mistake there out of the 24. He got loose coming up off of the corner, and that's definitely going to happen. I mentioned those hills coming up off of the corner. The elevation change really can upset these cars. It's a part of racing here, and well, we say that Nick Atwood, he made the pass for second, just put down the fastest lap of the race, a 23:11, almost 3/10 of a lap quicker than Garrett Kinder. Kinder's got a comfortable lead right now. Atwood a little bit quicker that time around, but nowhere near as much as the time previous. Jeff Willis trying to move his way up through the field. He's up 2 spots. Kyle Westwood's been our biggest mover. He's up 5 spots, all the way up to 4th place. After starting in 9th, he's chasing down the 0-1. Sideways, coming up off of the corner, but uses all of the racetrack. Uses that momentum, now gets right to the back bumper of Rod and potentially missed his corner, or we'll see. He cuts back down. Looking for a strong run on the 0-1. Rick Helms down to the bottom of the racetrack defending from the 24. Here comes the 84 down to the inside of Rodden. Rick Helms defending just behind these guys. Rodden gives up that pass. Rick Helms still has the 24. 24 up into the wall. Terry Atwood. Here comes Craig Davidson down to the inside trying to take advantage. And Jeff Wills to follow. Absolutely phenomenal action here in the first 14 laps of Dover. The Midday Racing League, these guys put on an absolutely amazing show week in and week out. We saw it last week at Talladega. We've seen it weeks prior. This time we're out at Dover, one of the toughest tracks to master here in any of the oval racing series, let alone in this next-gen car. We're watching these guys like Craig Davidson make up these spots. Rooster Rodden, he's gone up a few and gone down a few. Kyle Westwood, however, he's sitting up in 3rd place. Having a super strong run here, up 6 spots now. Nick Atwood sits in 2nd place. About a 1.5 seconds. He's lost a little bit of time to the race leader compared to where he was. He's still up 3 spots, having himself a pretty strong start to this race. 17 laps in, 16 complete, lap 17 this time around. Kyle Westwood, he's going to have Rooster Rodden chasing him back down not too long for now, I think. Rodden stabilized in terms of lap times, and it's really kind of held that gap around 4/10. We know Westwood was using up a lot of racetrack, as here comes Craig Davidson down to the inside of Rick Helms. Helms has no choice but to give up that space. It's early on. He gave it up plenty of space. Still gets a good run coming up off of turn number 2. Here comes Atwood now looking down to the inside of Helms. Helms doesn't want to give that one up. He's not quite ready for it yet, especially with Jeff Willis. Jeff Willis right behind these two, ready to jump if one of them gets caught up to the outside. As that might happen here with the 24 going up to the top. Can't quite get it back down to the bottom for the apex, but still has himself a good run coming up off of the corner. Looks down to the inside of Helms now. Not quite enough of a run. Helms may have given him just a car width there down on the bottom. Kyle Westwood chasing down 2nd place. Or rather being chased down by 4th place. He sits in 3rd. 2.5 seconds behind Nick Atwood. And Nick Atwood has also lost time to the race leader, Garrett Kinder. It's now 2.3 seconds as Kinder started from the pole. Was able to get away from the start. 20 laps complete, coming to 21 this time around. Kinder seems to be strong, virtually on rails from the start of the race. There's Rooster Rodden kind of biding his time. Didn't start off super aggressive. Let some guys go, went wide for a couple of guys we saw with the Nick Atwood machine and the Kyle Westwood car right in front of him. Now he's chased down Westwood. Slowly but surely, methodically, Rooster Rodden's getting some ground together here. Rodden within a car length now of Westwood, and that's where it's going to get tough with the air. There goes Westwood sideways, coming up off of turn 4. He's going to relinquish that third spot back to Rooster Rodden. Now Rodden sits 3.5 seconds off the race lead, but only 1.2 off of Nick Atwood. These guys were both chasing down that 23 car. Could there be an advantage here for Rooster Rodden? He was 0.4 of a second quicker than Garrett Kidder that last time around. We'll see what the laps look like this time. It's a 24.06 compared to a 24.24. So that pass for Rooster Rodden did not quite get him where he wanted to. Quick update on Woody. He sits in 6th place after running up as high as 2nd. Was racing Matt Sisler for that position. Sisler still sits a couple of laps down, but not too far off of that 24 machine. So if these guys, if Sisler's able to get his laps back, we could see these guys racing each other on track, and it was definitely a good battle. 24 and just got a little bit loose. You see him not wanting to waste any of Sisler's time here, knowing he might be on fresher tires here after the early pit stop. Racing for two completely different things. Garrett Kidder holds on to the race lead. 27 laps complete this time. I know it's early. Still not even 25% of the way through this race, but these guys can make it past halfway on a tank of fuel. So halfway might be where you want to make that pit stop. However, this is one of the toughest pit roads and one of the quicker laps that you'll run, especially at a mile-long racetrack. So it's a super tough pit road, a super tough angle coming up out of turn number 4, which is going to throw these guys for a loop. That could be that could be figuratively or literally. But then you've got the fact that it's a 45-mile-an-hour pit road. It's super cramped. And we saw Matt Sisler come in for a fast repair and 4 tires. That should have been about a 15, 16-second pit stop. So he lost 2 laps there. I can only imagine if you pit, you're going to lose a considerable amount of time, maybe in that 2-lap range. But these guys have already fallen off almost a second from where their fastest lap times were. Garrett Kidder loose coming up off of turn 4. He's got about 4 seconds of a lead over Nick Atwood, but Rooster Rodden has chased Atwood down, and he's going to make it look easy down on the inside. New car in 2nd place. That's the 0-1 of Rooster Rodden. Now 3.8 seconds off the race lead. Just a little bit quicker that last time around than Garrett Kinder. We saw how sideways Kinder was coming up off of turn 4. That right rear might be getting a little hot. He might have to back it down a little bit, try to cool it down. But with these thinner sidewalls, these 18-inch rims, it's gonna be a tough task. Last time around, virtually equal. Go ahead and show you our last lap time. We had it on best time for the whole time so far, but got that changed for you now. Looks like the quickest car on the track that last time around was actually Matt Sisler with a 24 flat, compared to the next fastest driver, your race leader, with a 24.24. Garrett Kinder leads by about 4 seconds over Rooster Rodden. Nick Atwood under fire from Matt Sisler. This is not for position, but Sisler trying to get one of his laps back the hard way. Currently the only car 1 lap down. He sees William Baker just in front of the race leaders. Desperately wants to get... Well, I would say he desperately wants to get in front of that 13 before he gets around the 49. But the 49 looks to be getting lapped here in the next lap or so. That's going to put him in the free pass spot. Matt Sisler's going to have another mountain to climb if he can get around Garrett Kinder, your race leader. Sisler now chasing down a Rooster Rodden, who is in second. Nick Atwood has Kyle Westwood coming up behind him. Westwood takes that wider arc, tries for the later apex. Might have been a little bit dirty air, so he couldn't quite get to the bottom, but he still got a strong run. Looks down to the bottom of that 23. I think that 23's tires might be cooked early on here, as he is just struggling on the entry. Kyle Westwood, our biggest mover, up 6 spots, up into 3rd place now. Jeff Wills up 4 positions, trying to chase down Craig Davidson just in front of him. Oh, he's going to get down to the inside. Craig Davidson might have had a little bit of a problem there coming up off of turn number 4. Davidson fighting hard up on the top side, though. Looks like the 74 is going to get clear. Put Jeff Wills up in the top 5. After starting in 10th of 11 cars, he's gotten his way through half the field. He's hoping he's got enough time to get through the other half. Kyle Westwood within a second of Rooster Rodden. These guys are all losing time to the race leader. Seems like some of these guys are able to run similar lap times for a moment, or for a couple of laps here and there, but that 13 is wicked consistent out front. Nick Atwood hasn't let go of the 84 either. Might have been able to cool his tires down just enough to be able to run some quicker lap times. And here comes Westwood down to the inside of the 49. 49 touches the wall there, comes down off it just a hair. Nick Atwood's going to be able to get around cleanly as well. Appreciate everybody who's tuning in here live on Sim Racing Media. Midday Racing League, 120 miler at Dover here, round number 11 of the season. Currently being led by Garrett Kinder. He's led them all. Rooster Rodden sits in 2nd place, followed closely by Kyle Westwood. Westwood within a second of that 2nd place machine. Nick Atwood sits in 3rd after being as high up as 2nd. Still up 1 from where he started. And we've got Jeff Wills in 5th place, started 10th, having a pretty good day, just working his way through the field methodically in that Excite Batteries car. Greg Davidson working down to the inside of the lap machine of William Baker there. And Terry Atwood is racing up in 2nd place. A little bit of contact with the 00, a little bit more contact with the wall. Has him set back in 7th place after starting up in 3rd. Here's Rick Helms, who we expected to be quick here. But the Dover package, a little bit different than the short track packages that we've seen him be so strong in. Right now sits in 8th place. And we've got Matt Metler sitting in 9th. That Hurricane 93 Ford Mustang. William Baker rounding out the top 10. And then Matt Sisler sits 2 laps down to Garrett Kinder. Hoping for a couple of cautions so he can get some of those laps back, get some of that time back. But right now, these guys getting spread out a considerable amount. It doesn't seem like a caution is super likely at the moment. And again, you can never say never here in any sort of NASCAR-style racing league. But the Midday Racing League is just as unpredictable as any. These guys definitely do their best to A, put on a show, and B, get the best result. Sometimes that might result in a little bit of contact, but that's kind of part of racing, and these guys know it. So we'll see as Kyle Westwood has been able to chase down Rooster Rodden here. These guys are now 1.4 to 1.5 seconds off of their fastest lap times. Jeff Wills around Nick Atwood. Put him up to 4th. He's 2 seconds behind this battle for 3rd. He could be a late race player here. with his long run speed. So yeah, we appreciate everybody who's tuning in. Go ahead and drop your favorite driver in the chat. Go ahead and give them some screen time. Try to give everybody some, get them some screen time here. Let everybody be seen. So we've got 11 fantastic drivers in this race and plenty more in the league. Some of them couldn't make it here today, but race goes on. Christian Ruse, we know you're at home, kind of hanging around with the new parent life. So best of luck to you with that. We're thinking about you. Definitely wish you were racing with us here, but we know more important things. Definitely take precedent there, and you know we're happy for you. Yeah, still super stoked to be able to call this race for you guys. As we've got Kyle Westwood still about 3/10 behind Rooster Rod, and he's been able to get within about a quarter second, but seems like the 0-1 has been a little bit tougher to catch up to and pass than most of the other cars that we've seen Kyle Westwood catch up to. He's got Jeff Wills right behind him. These guys actually both started in row 10. Here's William Baker coming, or row 5 rather. Here's William Baker coming to the pits. First one to come in on lap 50. You can make it from here. We'll see if he's able to get back on the lead lap in that long run move, or if maybe he's trying to two-stopper, just trying to pit for fresh tires here. Here comes Garrett Kinder to the back of Matt Metler. Metler touches the apron a little bit there. Kinder going to have to go offline to try to pass this 93. Matt does not give him any space here. He's trying to stay on the lead lap in case that caution does come out. Now Garrett Kinder's got to race him a little bit harder than he wanted to. Looks down to the inside of Matt Metler. Matt's not going to race him too hard this time around. He tried it that first time. Second time around, he said, all right, and there's Rick Helms coming into the pits. So these guys potentially coming in, try to do the short pit here. A little bit of an undercut as Rick Helms is into the pit lane. Still none of your top 8 have come in. Top 7, I should say. We've seen William Baker from a lap down come in. Rick Helms came in that last time around, the first of the lead lap drivers. Matt Metler and William Baker have both been lapped. Metler super loose there coming up off of turn number 4. Kyle Westwood able to make the pass for second place over Rooster Rodden while we were looking at other things. Put him up 7 spots. Go ahead and try to take a look at what happened in that pass. Rooster got loose coming up off of 2. Westwood goes up to the top side and just drives it in deeper. Able to cut down the way he wants to. That was actually happening right as Helms went to the pits. So we'll jump back to live. Garrett Kinder's got a 7.2 second lead. Kyle Westwood has driven through almost everybody here today, and now he's got no one between him and the leader. There's Craig Davidson down to the inside of Nick Atwood coming up off of turn number 4. Nick Atwood can't really fight that one too much. Gets wide coming up off of the corner. Had to let up just a hair and kept it off of the wall, but that car is not handling the way he wants. As they approach halfway, you got to think maybe that 23 is going to be one of the first ones to come in. So we're going to take you through pit stops. There was a Rick Helms machine getting one of his laps back. He's now down to 2 laps down from that pit stop and massively quicker. Terry Atwood has had a problem. And he's sideways down on the front straightaway, comes up onto the racetrack. The caution has come out for the first time today for Terry Atwood. Spinning coming up off of turn number 4. He's potentially coming into the pits, or at least attempting to. We'll take a look to see what happened to Woody here. Looks and sounds like he's committed to pit. Oh, he just missed the pits. He didn't even spin, but when he got sideways there and was looking at the outside wall coming up the racetrack, they had to throw it. especially being near where the race leader was. So Terry Atwood spins, well, almost spins, misses pit road, and gets a little jacked up on the gas towards the fence. This guy's calling the caution for the safety hazard there. Definitely applaud them. Last thing we want is to see somebody like Garrett Kinder, Kyle Westwood, Rooster Rodden, or any of these drivers, but just those guys, you know, up in the top three, have it trouble. As we take a look at pit stops now. Hate to see somebody get taken out due to a, you know, a pit lane trouble or really anything outside of their doing, but Jeff Wills stays out. Greg Davidson as well. Interesting there. See if they maybe come in after the fact, but here comes Garrett Kinder into the box first. Kinder out immediately with a huge gap all the way back. A couple of car lengths there to Kyle Westwood. Then Rooster Rodden off the pits. Nick Atwood getting his service complete, and that caution, huge benefit to that 23 machine. However, Jeff Wills stays out. We'll see if he comes in this time around, or if he's going to stay out. Yep, looks like Wills and Davidson will come in this time, along with Terry Atwood and William Baker. Puts Garrett Kinder back in the race lead. We're going to go ahead and step away for just a moment, but we'll be right back with the restart. Here at Dover, pace car is in. Garrett Kinder ready to lead them down once again. Just past halfway. These guys should be able to make it on fuel. If we stay green, we won't see any more pit stops. But will we see another caution? We'll find out. Garrett Kinder hard on the throttle with a huge gap. Rooster Rodden gets away in second place over Kyle Westwood. Garrett Kinder strong up front. Here comes Craig Davidson in fourth place. Jeff Wills stays in fifth. Nick Atwood and Matt Metler. Metler got the free pass that last time around. Matt Sisser had to come into pit. Could not take a wave around. Rooster Rodden all over the back of Garrett Kinder, though. First time he's really smelled pressure all day. But with that caution, Garrett Kinder has the potential to go flag to flag, which is definitely something he wants. But here comes Rooster Rodden up to the top side. Not quite enough of a run there. Cut off by Garrett Kinder, or rather blocked off, I should say the run was. Kinder working a little bit later of an apex than Rodden is. Rodden trying to stay down on the bottom the whole time through the corner. Seems to be a little bit more benefit for Kinder in the lead, but Rodden coming strong, coming up off of turn 2. Where's he going to go? He stays right up on the back bumper. Not quite enough this time either. This time a lane up, tries to cut down a little bit better than Kinder does. Strong coming up off of the corner, looks down low, not quite enough to make the move. Craig Davidson, Jeff Wills, side by side. The Atwoods side by side. Woody and Nick. That's not for position. Meanwhile, Rick Helms and Woody rather, is. Rooster Rodden trying to figure out a way around Garrett Kinder. Right up on his rear bumper, and that cannot be good for the front tires with these aero issues these cars have. Rodden's going to want to try to make this pass as quick as possible. But I tell you what, if you're Kyle Westwood, already a second and a half behind these guys, but you know these guys are using up so much more tire than you are. Absolutely phenomenal stuff out of these top two. These guys are going going for broke here. All or nothing. So there goes the 0-1 down to the inside, trying to work that inside lane, get a little bit more clean air to the front. Strong run once again coming up off of 2. Scrapes the wall just a little bit, but within a car length and a half, getting down into 3. Jeff Wills looks down to the inside of Kyle Westwood. Jeff Wills up onto the podium in 3rd place. 23 got up into the wall. That allowed Matt Sisler to get around him. That's not for position, but track position. Here's Garrett Kinder still trying to defend from that 0-1, and that 0-1 staying right on the rear bumper, right within the car length. Coming up off of turn number 4, trying to get that 13 loose, make a mistake or something. But Garrett Kinder has been virtually flawless all day. Here comes Rodden down to the inside. Can Kinder get the run coming up off? Rodden right there. Looks topside, cuts down in the middle. Stays with him. Can hear Kinder off the throttle coming up off the corner, but Rodden had to be as well, as he didn't really gain any distance there. But these guys are now 3 seconds out in front of 3rd place Jeff Wills, who has already gained a second on Kyle Westwood. Westwood now defending from lapped cars. Can't be what he wants to see, but Garrett Kinder probably not enjoying this view out his rearview mirror. But he knows the view is out his rearview mirror, and there's nothing to see out front. Appreciate you, Steve, for jumping up in here. Get her done. Gee, these guys are all trying to get her done. Here's Rooster Rodden within half a car length of the back bumper of Garrett Kinder. Right up on him now, coming up off of turn 4. Can't quite get to him. We've got less than 50 laps to go, and I tell you what, these guys stay this close, we might see a bump and run towards the end of this thing. Garrett Kinder with a super strong run there coming up off of 2 was able to use up all the racetrack. Rooster Rodden could not. Nick Atwood trying to chase down Craig Davidson for a top 5 spot. We'll keep you posted on the battle for the lead as it gets just about 1/10 of a second now. Rooster Rodden all over the back bumper of that 13 Garrett Kinder. And this is as close as he's been. Not quite enough there to make a move going down into turns 3 and 4. But I gotta wonder, when does he start poking out? When does he start trying to get that 13 nervous? Nice run coming up off of 2. Now he looks down to the bottom. Not quite enough momentum to make the move. Garrett Kinder didn't flinch. I'm going to jump to the blimp cam to try to show you just how different these guys' lines are. I mean, it's subtle differences, but you can see just about a half a car length on entry. Now here's Kinder with the half a car length on exit. Or rather, at the second apex point, they both got a little bit loose coming up off of 2. Kinder washes up, Rodden a little bit lower. These guys have 3.5 seconds over Jeff Wills. Less than 45 laps to go. And I tell you what, Rooster Rodden, he wants to win this just as much as anyone, if not more. Strong run coming up off of turn 4. Is he going to have enough to make the move? Not quite. It's just so tough to get that run coming up off of the corner. These cars have a lot of bite coming up off. It's easy to be able to get back onto the... I shouldn't say it's easy. But it's just as tough for the next guy. So if you can mash that throttle as soon as you can, as you see, caution is out. Rick Helms, slow. Not seeing anybody getting dinged for a crash, so let's take a look. Oh, wow, that's a big one. Greg Davidson hard up into the wall with Rick Helms. We'll slow it down for you here. Looks like the 9 clipped the apron there. We'll check it out one more time. Yeah, 9 was on the apron, comes up the racetrack. Helms was pretty low coming up off, potentially trying to pinch a little bit. Trying to race him hard there in the late stages, but contact was made. Put the 9 hard into the outside wall. Go back live, though. Everybody's pinned. Only this time, Garrett Kinder had Rooster Rodden right behind him. Did not have the gap that he had the previous caution to get into the pit lane. So we'll see if Rooster Rodden, he gets out quicker, but Garrett Kinder with that first pit stall gets out first. Matt Metler has stayed out to lead a lap. Looks like he's going to come in this time by them. And I tell you what, if you're Matt Sisler right now, you're loving this. You're going to get this wave around. You've got relatively fresh-ish tires. I mean, it's not like you're staying out 40 or 60 laps on your set. Going to get a wave around, get back to 1 lap down. You can race for that free pass. And I tell you what, with 40 laps to go, the intensity can only go up from here. We saw how hard these front 2, Garrett Kinder and Rooster Rodden, were racing for the lead. One mistake out of the 13 could have given it to the 0-1. And vice versa, you know. I mean, one mistake out of the 0-1 could have given the 13 a potentially insurmountable lead. But we've got 40 laps to figure it out. We're going to figure it out together right after this break. Back live here under the second caution here of the day. Matt Sisler going to get one of his laps back. Should put him back down to just the 1 down. Rick Helms, 1 lap down as well. After being involved in that caution, looks like he elected to take his fast repair. Garrett Kinder continues to lead, though, over Rooster Rodden. Kyle Westwood going to be on the outside of Jeff Wills, who's currently the biggest mover of the day, up 7. Kyle Westwood up 5. But if Westwood passes Wills, he's gonna be the biggest mover. These guys both have worked their way up through the field. 9th and 10th place. Kyle Westwood in 9th. 10th place was Wills. Now Wills sits in 3rd. Westwood up in 4th. Garrett Kinder, Rooster Rodden, fresh tires, less than 40 to go. We're going to see what happens. Appreciate you guys tuning in here live on Sim Racing Media. Let's see if Garrett Kinder gets as strong of a restart as last time. Coming up into the zone. Strong on the gas. Looks like Rodden a little bit better this time. A lot of bit better this time. A car length and a half away. Kyle Westwood strong up on the top side. Wills on the inside seems to be a little bit more willing to give up that spot on entry, but never mind. As I say that, he's got a strong run on exit. Stays to the inside, side by side for 3rd place. Kyle Westwood fighting hard up on the top side, though. Craig Davidson just behind these guys. He's got Nick Atwood behind him. Kyle Westwood, strong run up top. He's going to complete that pass over Jeff Wills. Wills backs down into 4th, and now these guys have both made up 6 spots from their initial starting position. Garrett Kinder holds out of the race lead over Rooster Rodden, but this time Westwood is a lot closer than he was. Doesn't have to save as much tire. We'll see if he's able to stay as close as he is now. And into the wall goes Rooster Rodden coming up off of turn 4. He's got to hope that doesn't hurt that car too much. These cars are strong on the outside, but you could break a toe link real easy in these things, and it might take him a lap or so to feel this car out. He's now 3/10 up off of the race lead, but fastest lap of the entire race was run that last time around by Kyle Westwood, a 22:98. He's running qualifying times. Closing in on Garrett Kinder just a little bit more. Zoom out just a hair on this battle. You see the 0-1 getting closer and closer to the 13. That wall contact doesn't look like it hurt him one bit. Looks down to the inside. Rocks the inside line. Tries for the later apex, but might be a little bit tougher with the 13 getting right down to the bottom. However, still within now a 10th and a half. Getting down to about a 10th. Gets a better 3 and 4. Looks down to the bottom, but Kinder going to be able to use up all the racetrack? No, maybe not. I mean, he did, but he couldn't use up all the throttle. Rodden once again strong coming up off the corner. Peaks low, doesn't quite have enough momentum. Nick Atwood trying to chase down Jeff Wills, and in turn Kyle Westwood, who is continuing to fall back from this front two. Here's Garrett Kinder defending once again from Rodden as he got right to the back bumper on entry. Now Rodden looks low, coming up off of 2. Kinder gets loose. Rodden right up on the back bumper. Not quite enough to make a move. Meanwhile, here's Kyle Westwood defending from Jeff Wills. Wills gets back by him. Up the racetrack goes to 23. Westwood has to let up off of the gas to try to fall in behind. And in one corner, Kyle Westwood drops 2 spots down to 5th. Here's Rodden looking down to the inside of Kinder. Not quite enough. Kinder gets loose coming up off of 2. And I tell you what, if you're Rooster Rodden, you're hoping he uses up enough right rear to get him loose coming up off of these corners before you use up too much of that right front. Here comes Garrett Kinder coming up wide, coming up off of the corner. Thought he was going to smack the wall, but he didn't. He kept it out. Absolute masterclass driving by both of these top 2. Jeff Wills doing a phenomenal job of 7 spots from where he started. Kyle Westwood, however, has fallen back now to 6th place. He might have smacked the wall there coming up off of turn number 2. We saw how resilient that Rooster Rodden machine was. I have to assume the 84's likely in the same boat. Now Rooster trying to get a little bit different of an entry to make up on exit versus Garrett Kinder, and it seemed to work that last time around. We'll see how it works in turns 3 and 4 as Garrett Kinder goes a little bit wide in the middle to try to set up that late arc, that late apex. It's one thing I've heard a lot about this track, even from guys like Kyle Busch. Not that I've personally spoken to him, but you know, he's talked about it on different interviews. This is a corner. This track has corners that you almost want to double apex. You get down in there, you touch an early apex, you slide up, You get the car turned, whether it be with your brake or with your throttle. You do it however your car is set up. Then you hit that inside apex about 75% of the way through the corner. Throttle it up off the corner and try to get up next to the wall. We've seen a lot of times in cup racing where the outside definitely more effective than we're seeing it here today. But I think that Kyle Busch line that he talked about in that interview is what we're seeing here today. These top two, it's just going to be a matter of who can run it better, who can run it cleaner, who can get away with a flawless 25 laps here to end this show. Drivers have been putting on an absolute clinic to this monster mile. It hasn't really been a monster to many. To some, it certainly has been, but these guys able to keep it very clean throughout the course of this thing. Only 2 cautions throughout this race so far. The first one didn't even come until just about halfway. Nick Atwood trying to chase down Jeff Wills. Get back up into the top 3. Get one of these podium spots away. Knows it's going to be tough to get one of the top 2, but third is right in front of him. See these guys also running completely different lines. Nick getting, he's going into the corner much wider than the 74. Getting a later apex, and that's really helping his exit. It's right up to the back bumper. The 74 looks down to the inside. Kyle Westwood back to the inside of Craig Davidson. Into 3. This is for a top 5 spot. Westwood trying to get back up to the front where he was earlier after a little bit of a bobble and then a wall touch. Sent him back to 6th. He's now made the pass for 5th place. Meanwhile, Garrett Kinder is opening up a gap over Rooster Rodden. Rodden in 2nd place now by about a half a second. He might have just used a little bit too much of that right front running so close to the 13 right in front of him. We've got 20 laps to go here at the Monster Mile. This thing is not by any stretch of the means over. As Nick Atwood gets around Jeff Willis and pulled off a slider coming up off of turn 2. Able to complete that pass for 2nd place. Sits just under 3 seconds behind the race lead with 20 to go. Be a tall task, but could that 23 pull off some of his early race pace and chase these guys down in front of him? Of course, we appreciate everybody who's tuning in. If you're new here, go ahead and hit the subscribe button and ding the bell so you never miss a race. We've got fantastic racing 7 nights a week, and hey, we do some day shows as well. We've got this one as well as a Thursday day show as well. So whether you're trying to wind down towards the end of the night, you're looking for some prime time action, or hey, maybe a little bit of a distraction while you're on break at work, we've got you covered here at Sim Racing Media. Kyle Westwood trying to chase down now Jeff Wills for 4th place. These guys started right next to each other, haven't really been able to stay away from each other. They've been as far away as 3 spots, but that's been about it, as now Kyle Westwood works down to the inside of the 74. Jeff Wills takes away that 4th spot. He's got Nick Atwood right in front of him. I tell you what, he has got to be wishing he did not have that bobble, because he is fast right now. Brewster Rodden has seemed to have used up a lot of his stuff as he's fallen back to over, I believe, 2 seconds back to the race lead and counting. Nick Atwood has chased him down by a considerable amount, but he's still 3 seconds off the race lead. It's looking like Garrett Kinder might be having his day. Craig Davidson now trying to work over Jeff Wills. These guys were racing each other hard before. going to get up close and personal with these guys when there's only 11 of them, or only 10 competitors rather. You're going to see a lot of the same cars over and over, get to know their personalities and tendencies fairly well, and I tell you what, you're going to figure out the quickest is how they frustrate you. Especially at a track like this, you've got short straightaways, long sweeping corners. When somebody's driving style doesn't agree with yours, you just can't get around them for that reason. That tends to be a little bit of frustration in the cockpit. And as we approach 10 laps to go, as you see the 74 going way wide, getting up into the wall, that's Jeff Wills. Keeps her straight, keeps her saved, but big moment there out of the 74. We've got 12 laps to go, coming to 11. Garrett Kinder has opened up a 3-second lead over Rooster Rodden. Nick Atwood sits in third place. Kyle Westwood right at the tail end of this three-way battle. 23 gets a little bit loose there, kind of covers the 84's move with his looseness. Wasn't necessarily a block, but had to use up a little bit more racetrack. The 84 couldn't quite get to where he wanted to. Now he's going to be able to get a run coming up onto the top side. 23 dives it in deep. 84 up the track. Westwood now looks down to the inside. Going to try to use up as much throttle as he can coming up off of the corner. Looks to the inside of Atwood. Able to get out front. Able to get clear for third place. Kyle Westwood back up into third place as Atwood's potentially scraped the wall there. If he didn't, he couldn't have put a piece of paper in between them, using up all of the racetrack, trying to get as much momentum, as much speed as he can. And now Kyle Westwood chasing down Rooster Rodden. I tell you what, if you're the 84, if you're in that 84 pit box, you want him to get around this 0-1 and you want to have a caution. It's going to be tough to gain the 3.5 seconds that Garrett Kinder has pulled out. But you know you're fast. You know the 0-1's fast as well on the short run. So you want to be able to get in front of him so you've got a better shot at racing that Kinder machine in front of you. But as the laps wind down, it's just a tougher and tougher ask as we have 7 laps to go for your race leader, Garrett Kinder, who's about 3 3/4 second out in front. Look at the little bit of a block there coming out of Rodden. Slides up the racetrack now. Here comes Kyle Westwood down to the inside for second. He's going to complete that pass, take away second place. Should be able to drive away, and the battle is going to be on for third. Even fourth with Craig Davidson coming up in here as well. There's Atwood up into the wall there, coming up off of turn 4. Didn't seem to slow him down much. He slides up just a bit. Going to try to take that later apex. Gets a run coming up off of 2 on Rodden. Looks to the inside. Now looks down on into 3 and 4. Rodden giving plenty of space. Davidson going to try to follow through. Coming up off of turn 4, though, the 23 gets super sideways, gets onto the apron, and that is a tough recovery to make, but he got her done. Greg Davidson completes the pass, gets up into 4th place, trying to get around Rooster Rodden now, who seems to be struggling after going so hard behind Garrett Kinder up at the beginning half of this run. We've got 4 laps to go for Garrett Kinder. You're not missing anything for the racing up front, as Kinder has himself a 3.5 second lead. The battle right now for 3rd place as Rooster Rodden trying to defend from Craig Davidson. Garrett Kinder out front. Smooth laps continuing. He's a smooth operator. Kyle Westwood sitting in 2nd place. Super strong day. He's passed more cars than anybody here today. And Rooster Rodden trying to keep 3rd place away from Craig Davidson. Strong run coming up off of 2 down the back straightaway. Got him a little bit of distance between Davidson, but now Davidson coming up off of turn 4. Strong coming up. Try to use up all the racetrack he can. It's 3 car lengths with 3 laps to go. Or 2 laps to go, rather, at the line. Jeff Wills racing with Terry Atwood. William Baker may have had a problem. Garrett Kinder, he has gone flag to flag. Drop of the green flag, started up on the pole, made the pit stops perfectly. His pit crew didn't make a single mistake, and neither did the driver. A couple of phenomenal pit stops kept him out front. Shouldn't say he went flag to flag. A couple of guys stayed out to lead a lap, but Garrett Kinder leads the most important one here at Dover. Garrett Kinder is your winner. Kyle Westwood's going to come across in second. Rooster Rodden able to hold off Craig Davidson for third. Fourth place was Davidson. Nick Atwood in fifth. Then Jeff Wills, Terry Atwood, Matt Metler, Matt Sisler, Rick Helms, and William Baker rounding out the field. We're going to go ahead and watch Kinder burn it down here before we talk to him. Such a phenomenal job done here today by the 13 machine of Garrett Kinder as he's burning it past the rest of the podium there. Gonna go ahead and steal him, Garrett Kinder. Keep on burning it, but you're up in the booth now. First off, congratulations on such a dominant performance here. I mean, you would have gone flag to flag had it not been for a couple of guys staying out to lead a lap. Talk us through.
It was a good time. Finally figured something out with these cars at Dover and capitalized on it and made it work.
Yeah, I mean, talk us through the first stint of the race. It kind of looked like it was going to go green for the most part. Were you getting close to your green flag pit stop there, or were you going to run it towards the end on fuel?
Oh, yeah, I completely planned on coming in at lap 6 at the halfway point and just basically splitting this race in half and doing it that way. So caution came out, trapped a lot of guys a lap down that had come down, tried to short pit a little bit. But, yeah, it was getting real close to my pit window anyway. So.
Yeah, and then after you had that restart there, it was just the 0-1 filling up your mirror. Kind of walk us through the battle you had after that first restart and after the second.
Yeah, I knew Rooster was fast. He had plenty of speed. I think what really helped me in that first run was that little shenanigans that happened on lap 1. And that, pretty much gave me a second and a half, 2-second lead just off the bat, and I just kept expanding it. But on the restarts after that, everything was pretty clean, so he was able to stay right up on my bumper and really, really work it. And, 20-lap run, I was able to keep him behind me, and then I knew we had a 40-lap run coming at the end of the race, so I didn't have to save quite as much tire. I could run a little harder and try and keep him behind me, and did pretty well. I don't know if he burned his stuff up, maybe got a little hold of the wall or something, but it was a fun race with him for sure. He had me nervous. There was a couple times where I got the outside call coming off a 2, and that's not somewhere you want to get a late outside call, so kind of had to wheel it a little bit and have a good time with it. But yeah, a lot of fun tonight, or today, whatever it is.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely put on a strong performance and started to gap him with about 20 to go. Did you think he was maybe playing with you, or did you think at that point you had kind of done enough and been able to pull that gap?
Well, there was something that was on the back of my mind, thinking maybe he's saving for like a last 10-lap push, somewhere around there. But whenever we got down to, 10 to go, and I was still pulling a gap on the people behind me, I knew that I'd done my job and got this Ford Mustang up front and kept it up front.
Well, awesome stuff, Garrett. You pulled off one of the most dominant victories we've seen. Is there anybody you want to thank for such a strong run?
Yeah, I want to thank you up in the booth, of course. Like going back and watching these broadcasts, always a good time. Kinder Farm and Ranch Ratchet Speed Shop, been with me since day one on iRacing, and some great sponsors, great friends to have around, and family members. Big Frig and Cross 5 cattle coolers. If you want to keep your stuff hot and keep your stuff cold for cheaper and longer than anybody else, make sure you check out Big Frig and Cross 5 cattle coolers at bigfrig.com. Ray Page and Andy over at Wolfpack Racing, some great guys I know in the industry. Just they do so much for so many people and show a lot of people a good time. It's just a blast over there. My teammates across various leagues through iRacing, be it Reaper Racing, Poleman Motorsports, or the guys over at Velocity. Just a lot of fun racing with a bunch of good dudes. I pretty much only do league races anymore, just because that's where the fun is, the camaraderie and the friendships and stuff you build. So big shout out to all of them. Thanks to everybody over here at the Midday Racing League. Keep the lights on. Give us guys that work night shift somewhere to race in the middle of the day and have a good time with it.
Awesome stuff. We definitely appreciate you joining us up in here, and I'll second that. As a night shift worker, it's cool to have a midday race to broadcast. Definitely fits into my schedule, so we appreciate that from the league, and we appreciate you joining us up in here. Garrett, congrats once again on such a dominant win.
Thank you, buddy.
All right, we've also got Rooster Rodden up in here. Doesn't look like Kyle Westwood's available for second place at the moment, so Rooster Rodden up in the booth with us here. Rooster, you had yourself a super strong 0-1 machine. A couple of those restarts there at the end. It looked like you had something for the 13 in front of you. What was under the hood there, first off? Was it NOS? Because you two were quicker than anybody else.
Don't tell nobody. That first run there, I had tried what I thought was a tire saving strategy in practice. Ran a couple of laps and saw what my percentages was after pitting after about half of a fuel run, and was like, holy crap, this is eating tires up. So tried something different, thought I had something, but then at that first caution, it still burned the crap out of my tires. And so I said, screw it on the restart, and just went for it. And was kind of hoping, you know what, cautions breed cautions, and maybe we'll get some more. And then kind of hoping for a late race one, because I knew I could hang with him after that second run. And I was like, we get a late race caution, I've got him. He's going to be sweating more than what he is now if he's sweating right now. So, but as congrats to him, he definitely had everybody's number on that, and couldn't nobody touch Garrett. And congrats to Kyle as well. He did a little bit of a tire saving to get by me there at the end, and I thought I was going to lose it, but I had a heck of a repass on Mr. Nick Atwood there at the end. He got underneath me, and I just put my foot down after running to the high side and kept it out of the wall, kept it out of him. And I don't know if something happened with him, because he fell back in behind Craig there and was able to hold third down, so I'm happy with that.
Yeah, we're going back watching that a little bit there, where he got down to your inside. You were racing with Craig, but yeah, it looked like you had a loose moment there. Definitely played into your factor, but you had a very intense battle with the 9 on those last couple of laps. Walk us through what was going through your mind there, seeing that bright silver car get a little bit closer and closer in your mirror.
I keep the bottom for everything that I could. Keep the bottom. Which was my thought as well when the 84 had called up to me. I was like, hold the bottom, and maybe I'd keep him behind of me. Then he ended up diamonding the corner and got the run coming out of the corner there. But yeah, hold the bottom, and then with white flag to go, I said, I'm blocking all over the place. He's gonna have to really get a run to get by me. I don't care where we're at. So that was it. There was just do whatever I could to keep him behind of me without wrecking him.
Well, awesome stuff, man. You had a super strong car here today. You come home third place. Obviously wanted a couple spots better, but you had a super strong run. Who do you want to thank for such a great day?
Thank Christian for putting the league on. It's awesome. I'm like Garrett there. I run leagues mostly just because, like he said, a lot more camaraderie, a lot cleaner racing compared to the officials. Unfortunately, I wish officials would get a little bit better, but I mean, maybe they will. Who knows? But big thank you to Steel Horse Racing, all the guys that I've run with over there. That team is just awesome. No better team on iRacing. I don't care what anybody says. And to everybody that raced here today, Extreme Sim Rigs. Who else? Everybody over on, I know it says on the back of the car, it says Twitch, but I'm actually not over there anymore. I have to fix that. So everybody over at kick.com that watches my stream, if they're watching the broadcast here, thank you guys so much for watching my stream as well. Ford Performance. Heck yeah, got this Cobra Jet, got me up on the podium with this Cobra Jet Mustang. So it just I could go on and on with people to thank, but I'm gonna stop right there with it.
Well, awesome stuff, Rooster. We appreciate you joining us, and congratulations on such a strong run. We'll more than likely talk to you again next week.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Well, that was Rooster Rodden, and that's gonna just about do it for us here on Sim Racing Media. Garrett Kinder, super dominant performance here. I think he led all but 2 laps with the driver staying out under caution. Kinder gets the job done, a dominating performance here. Over Kyle Westwood, Rooster Rodden, and then Craig Davidson, Nick Atwood, Jeff Willis, Terry Atwood, Matt Metler, Matt Sisler, Rick Helms, and William Baker to round out the field. Well, we had ourselves a phenomenal show here today at Dover. And I tell you what, I cannot wait until next week. Show up, I believe, at Darlington. That is one of the greatest racetracks, one of my favorites, one of the toughest, just as, if not more, abrasive than this concrete mile here at the Monster Mile of Dover. Super excited to bring you next week's race, so be sure to tune in at noon Eastern. And if you're a little bit antsy, can't wait to get your racing fix, go ahead and tune in tonight. We've got the Monsters of Speed Racing League coming on at, I believe, 8 Eastern. Maybe, I believe 9 Eastern, actually. My bad. 9 Eastern. But that's going to do it for us here on Sim Racing Media. Appreciate you guys tuning in. I'm Liam Ervig, and we'll catch you next time.